Bring that fat ass on, yeah. I wanna get it in my mouth. I wanna get it in my mouth. Oh, I wanna suck on your fat ass. Gotta suck on that ass, baby. I gotta suck on that ass, yo. I'm talking, yo. I wanna spread the ass apart, get my tongue in your ass, eating on your ass. So yo, I'm eating on you, eating on you, eating on your ass. I'm eating on your motherfucking. All right, Brian. Eating on your ass, man.
What's poppin', dude?
Not much, dude. So that is that's a video I found on TikTok a couple weeks ago, and it's freaking hilarious. And it's bad, I know, but whatever.
I'd say it's probably at least top 3 in your rotation nowadays, isn't it?
Dude, it's 60 seconds of just eating ass, pure eating ass whiz, I guess.
That's how you get pink eye, son.
Yeah, that's exactly how you get pink eye. So, hey, man, we have a special guest in the studio. We have the one and only Dave Covington. Dave, what's up, dude?
How's it going?
So, for those of you guys that don't know Dave, Dave he's a bike builder at Covington's, family-owned business here in Woodward, Oklahoma. World-renowned business. They have bikes, cars all over the world. Super cool deal to have here in Woodward because it's not... it's small town USA, and to have something like that here is pretty awesome. So, Dave, how long have y'all been in Woodward?
Oh, man. Been in Woodward since, I think, 92, and opened up the shop in, I believe, 94.
Now, you were originally California, right?
Yeah, we were in California in the 80s, I guess you would say.
Right. Back when we were babies.
Yeah.
I was a little older than a baby.
Yeah, no, you were old as fuck back then. Yeah, you're right.
I just wanted to beat you to the punch is all.
Yeah, I was going to get there. It was just going to take me a minute. So, Dave, you guys are currently on Oklahoma Avenue here in Woodward, and y'all have been there, I think, since 97, 98, somewhere in there?
Yeah, that's correct.
So, you invited me down to the shop last Friday. We spent an hour and a half or so going through a tour of the shop. Dude, I got to say... one of the most impressive things, I mean, there were so many things that were impressive, but one of the most impressive things to me is the stereo equipment y'all are putting in that shit right now.
Yeah.
What, can you talk about that, man? Because it's not, you don't put subs in there.
No.
What are you doing?
Well, I mean, it's really fairly basic. It's just we finally found equipment that is super loud and sounds good. But it's just we just run 4 mid-drivers and 2 tweeters. You can run subs. A lot of people do run subs, but at higher speed, you hardly hear them. So it's a waste of power, room, and a lot of extra weight that you don't need. And these you can hear going 80 miles an hour, no problem.
Well, with the subs, the open air, it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, there's some people going crazy right now. Actually, the stereo scene is huge on bikes, but they're a little out of control, not super rideable. They're putting extra batteries, doing bigger bags, adding subs, and making their bags not even open, like competition bikes.
Yeah, I was going to say like a show bike or kind of type deal instead of like a practical.
These, you can show them, you can ride them. But it's loud, and dude, they are impressive. Even what we're doing,
dude. I was blown away because it's one of those things. I mean, you guys are building phenomenal bikes, but you're also building bikes that are loud too. They're cammed up, badass big engine bikes, and the stereo system's louder than the exhaust.
Yeah, that's why you got to make them loud,
dude. I was just blown away.
Not only to be louder than the pipes, but you need it to where you can hear it. Fast.
Yeah, for sure. I was the bike that you busted off the other day too. I think you guys had it was just a tuner and correct me if I'm wrong, but it was a tuner and some exhaust, and then you guys did a cam kit on that bike.
Yeah,
it was nasty, dude. Yeah. That was a nasty sounding ride.
Mm-hmm. Had the right combination for sure.
It just sounded sweet. So. We looked at, you guys are trying to prep right now to go to Daytona. When's Daytona kick off?
1st of March.
Now you're finishing. You've got a lot of bikes to finish, dude.
Yeah. I still got like 4 more to get done.
So, I mean, is that achievable, or is that going to be some late nights?
It'll get done.
It's
normal. May take some late nights. Right now, I'm pretty much waiting on the last few pieces for each bike kind of to come in from Chrome Shop or paint, something. We'll just finish them as the parts get in.
Right. Hey, talk about that white bike a little bit. If that's cool.
The one that we just painted white?
Yeah.
It is a bike we actually built last year, a brand new 2019, I believe. It could have been, I think it was a 19, not a 20. We built it for a customer, kind of all out, lay frame, big inch turbo, engraved front to back, candy painted, leafed, big stereo. Well, he traded it in for 2 bikes, and we sold it. And this is probably the part you want to hear, is how the guy who bought it wants it all white. It has a $12,000 paint job on it now. So we sand all the paint off, strip it down to the frame, do it all white, but everything he owns is white. Every car, truck, toy,
just his thing, huh?
Helicopter, everything he's got is pearl white.
Dude, and I looked at it in the paint booth, and the white, don't get me wrong, that white's beautiful. I love it. But, you talked about the other day how it was just the most weird thing ever, about to sand on that bike. Like, bro, you sure? Is this really what you want to do?
Yeah, you put it off as long as you can, just looking at that paint.
So I did look at your Instagram, and if you guys haven't looked at...
I saw where you found that.
Yeah, if you haven't looked at Dave's Instagram, you need to, man. It's freaking cool. It's full of badass bikes, but I knew I saw the bike. So I was rolling through there today, and I was like, oh, that's it. That's the bike. And, dude, that color, though. You guys have you have a Softail in the showroom floor right now. It's got that same...
real similar colors, yeah. That one was a little darker.
It's funny just how much that color pops, because it looks like the one in the showroom's a root beer and like a tan or a cream.
Yeah, it's cream.
With
off-white.
With that gold leaf in there, and it's just, it works. The color works. Go ahead.
I got a question though. When you say this guy does everything white, I mean, like, there's no... Like, I call it Stormtrooper. I know you're going to enjoy that since you love Star Wars so much. But I dig, you see the cars that are like white and then they like have some black detail. If people don't know what I'm talking about, like a Stormtrooper suit from Star Wars. And I don't know if that's, I'm sure I've ripped that off from somewhere. I don't think I'm making something up. But I dig how that looks.
Yeah.
Not just because of the Stormtrooper name or whatever. I just think that's a really cool look on some vehicles that I've seen. So it's not even nothing like that. I mean, it's just white.
Yeah, it's the paint is white. It's still chromed and
engraved. Still chrome or whatever.
Yeah, but everything.
There's no accent to it like that or anything.
Nope. It's just like a new Mercedes would be, kind of just all.
Yeah.
That's the way everything he's got.
The cool thing about the bike, so it's stripped down to bare frame. we're back there looking at it, and I'm looking at this bike like, holy shit! It's intimidating to me to see it torn apart like that, and to know it's all got to go back together. And I know the process, so we went over to your metal and your fab shop, and we're kind of looking at things, and I know it's your job, just like any job you have, like we have at the place we work. We have jobs that are big jobs that you're kind of intimidated by, or that you just know is going to be time consuming. Looking at that bike, and I talked to you about the time that it takes to put that stuff back together. And and you're like, it's no big deal. But over in your fab shop, looking at some of the bikes that were torn apart, knowing what all's got to be pulled off, put back on, and that kind of shit. So to take that bike, to tear it down, and then to redo everything and put it back together, to me that is a huge undertaking. But it's going to be awesome.
The one thing about that one is it has been together, customized already. So everything's been plumbed, fitted. It was all done running bike. So we're tearing it down, and I re-chromed a few pieces and detail it all back out. But it will go together easier than the first time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. You've got everything figured out, so it's just going to go right back together.
That makes me want to ask this: how often? Not necessarily a $12,000 paint job or whatever. Is it? Do you guys repaint stuff very often for people, or
Every once in a while.
It's not a real common thing.
No, like I did. I sold my bike the first day of Sturgis, and the guy bought it. He really loved it, picked it out. He got there the first day because the last year he went there at the end of the rally and missed out on all the ones he liked.
Uh-huh.
So he picked it out, but then when he starts going over everything else he wants to do to it, he wants to change the paint a little.
Yeah.
Well, I build them so often, brand new ones,
Right.
that it's like, well, just paint all new stuff for you, and I'll put all this on another brand new bike.
Okay, I got you. Yeah.
You know, I've done that.
It's, I mean, pretty much interchangeable in a sense.
Yeah. If it's because that particular bike, I do one after another.
Yeah. Okay.
We just buy them one after another and do them and sell them. And I have one customer. He gets a new bike, at least one new bike every year. And he started out. He would buy a bike, he'd get tired of it and want it to look new, and he'd have us paint it. Well, then after a few times, he started just doing new bikes and selling them.
Yeah.
So he does pedal his old bikes and then buys a new one.
Yeah, or trade them in. We'll take it and sell it.
Gotcha. Yeah. Which
So
makes
what
more
is-
sense than just repainting every however
Yeah,
often.
he did it first, and then it's like he just puts that much more money into that bike where he could just sell it.
So you guys do, you guys do everything. You do ground up builds, everything in
Service
between.
to full custom.
So what is, like, you guys buy brand new bikes too, and you guys will customize a brand new bike, and talk about that Black Flag edition, because I noticed that the other day in the shop. Talk about that, because I thought that was kind of a cool story. If you don't
Well, we heavily modify the bikes. And Harley is kind of funny about their warranty. If you leave it alone, take it to Harley dealers, whatever, they warranty it, but they seem to have a small problem with shops like ours
Right.
modifying
Your
bikes and then
aftermarket
giving
stuff.
them some warranty. So a couple years ago, I just finished a brand new 19, and we did nothing to the engine, actually. The rest of the bike, though, totally custom. The engine, just other than pipes and a stage 1 stock, it blew up after 5 miles.
Oh wow.
It was brand new. It had no mile. I had 1 mile on it. I rode it, mile 5, the engine blew. Only time it's happened, all these years. But anyway, they were going to work with us to warranty it up in Sturgis, and the guy was trying, but then they sent some pictures to the headquarters or whatever, and they looked at the bike and said, nope, we're going to Black Flag that bike, no warranty, the bike's been modified. So now, the guys were all joking around that with Black Flag Gang or Black Flag Club or whatever, and
Yeah.
so now we got logos and all of them with big built engines or whatever, the Black Flag edition.
That's cool.
So
That's
when they're
funny.
done, they're already Black Flag, no warranty. You know what I mean?
The logo, it's just cool because the logos on the rear, the bottom of the rear fender on a few bikes in the showroom, and it just caught my eye, and I was like, dude, what's the Black Flag edition? So Dave told me, and I just thought that was pretty neat. It's the story of the non-warranty thing. That kind of sucks, and it's kind of crappy, but especially
these
on a
guys
bike
could
that,
buy 3 bikes for what they have in one of those. So
for sure.
fixing the engine's not a big problem if they break it.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that you think about it in
Yeah.
like a pickup. You buy a brand new pickup and you put wheels and tires on it, and you can do some stuff with the paint. You do a lot of bolt-on shit. Well, if your engine starts knocking, man, that's still on Ford, because it's going to be a Ford, right? It ain't going to be anything else, right?
Wouldn't that
You know what I'm
happen-
saying?
Didn't that happen to somebody we work with?
Yeah, it happened to Nate, man. It's
I
brand
wouldn't
new.
want to name names, but I think I
Yeah.
heard that story.
Yeah, Nate's
Not the
brand
bolt-on
new.
stuff, but just the.
Yeah, brand new F-150 started knocking. Don't buy a Ford. This is not a Ford plug. So, the heritage that's in there, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that rolls me into this question. What do you guys buy more of brand new?
The Road Glide touring model is the most popular.
So, I'm not gonna lie to you. I've had a couple Harleys, but I've had quite a few just motorcycles in general. And when I first started riding bikes, I just thought that a Fat Boy or a Heritage was it to me. And
They are pretty nice.
They are, and after putting some seat time on one, I was like, gosh dang. And this was before baggers got popular to me. In my mind, right? Before baggers got popular, I was like, man, it would be so nice to have those bags and to have a fairing and to, to have that, to not just be wind blown and beat the fuck up, and well, then they seem to get super popular, but I've always liked the Street Glide better than the Road Glide.
Yeah.
Because, the Street Glide, the fairing turns with you. Mm-hmm. The Road Glide, the fairing stays there.
Well, looking at them stock, the way they come off the showroom floor, I could see where people would like the Street Glide better. Because the way the fairing and the little wheel on the Road Glide, it almost looks like they hit a wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, you're right.
But as soon as you start customizing, it's a whole new deal. And the Road Glide at higher speeds, with the fairing not bolted to the front end, cuts through the wind a little better without a shimmy.
Yeah, that makes sense because, when you're, anytime you if you're, I don't want to say just higher speeds, but anytime that fairing isn't straight, you're going to catch a little bit more wind.
Yeah, I'm not saying they don't ride good at speeds, but the Road Glide tends to go a little faster. I had one guy, he was all about going fast, and he had a Street Glide. We did everything he could, and he didn't just ride fast. When he would race people, he'd race till they quit, not stoplight to stoplight.
Oh,
and he always wanted to go 10 mile an hour faster, And he got his where it's going pretty fast, and I had to remind him that, touring models weren't designed to run 120 mile an hour all the time. And you could make it that way, but anyway, he eventually changed it to a Road Glide, and he said he got his extra mile an hour he wanted by doing that.
I guess whatever it takes, but
yeah.
Well, you and I, we were talking Friday in the shop. Harley's come out with some new shit and some new designed bikes that are faster, that are made for different things. It kind of baffles me because I've had a few bikes and I've never had the urge myself to go fast on one of those bikes. I've always just liked cruising, and it's never mattered. I've rode some 114s, some 103s, and some 88s, and I didn't mind an 88 5-speed. It did everything that I wanted it to do. I didn't need performance. Now, I know how it is when you get you got some buddies with kind of the same bikes and you want to race and shit, and it becomes a competition, whether it be cars, motorcycles, four-wheelers, dune buggies, it doesn't matter. It becomes a competition. But the new Harleys you guys have, you guys had a few in there you're messing with. What's up with those? They're supposed to be designed to be fast bikes, right?
Which ones?
What was the one that kind of looked like the Italian bikes? They look like they're, how the tank had
that was a new Softail.
They're neat looking, but not all the Softails look like that, right? With the sunk in tank.
Oh no, I just do that on random bikes, like if someone wants it.
So that was custom.
Yeah, I cut that out and dish it in.
I guess I took that wrong. So I didn't realize that. So that's something that y'all are doing.
Yeah, I've got that done on a few different types of bikes.
Now you're doing the fat tire up front, which is odd to me.
Yeah, it's the same width as the rear.
But they look sick, like they're.
That's the new hot thing.
And the bars, what's up with them?
Which ones?
The bars, like the
T-bars?
Yes, the T-bars. You got the riser that comes back.
Yeah, it's kind of a new performance. Well, I say new, it's been around, but it's more popular now, I guess, moving to the baggers. But it's where they come up higher and use motocross bars. So it's more for handling and performance, like just the aggressive riding, I guess. It's kind of what they're for. New style.
It's neat. Like it's definitely, that was one of the, if I took anything away from the shop that day was, I'm not up with the times on motorcycles and such. That's your cup of tea and your forte. But
well, the thing is now there's a lot of different styles. Like it used to be like choppers are popular, or a bobber is popular, but now it's like all of them. There's like the real low, long, big wheel. There's the fat tires. There's the more performance aggressive type riding bikes with mid controls and the tall bar, the motocross bars made for leaning, doing wheelies and just riding hard.
That's the bike. I didn't even think about the mid controls, but that makes sense because the bike that we were talking about with the tank cutout, I didn't pay attention to if that was mid controls, but you said that bike was designed to be kind of shorter, big tire, made for pulling wheelies, and you look at the bike and the layout of it, you're like, man, I could see where that could be, but the thought of pulling a wheelie on a Harley just doesn't seem.
Oh yeah, you have to check it out online. I mean, they're doing 12 o'clocks, dragging fenders, laying their hands back.
So I watched a dude just a couple of months ago on Instagram riding
big
wheelies
road
on a Harley.
glide touring models.
Yeah, but just doing some nasty shit on a big bike, and obviously they're laying them down, not on their side. I'm just saying when they're setting them down, they're not like full force setting them down. Mm-hmm. Obviously these guys know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah, but I mean they're making carbon fiber parts for them, lightening them up, the wheels. But there's a lot of, actually, the guys who used to ride the crotch rockets are getting into it because, I mean, they're finally getting into the big bikes, but it's also getting them more credit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're wheeling in.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't pay attention to on the street bikes just because so many people did it. But you get those same guys get on a Harley, and everybody's like, God dang.
Yeah.
You see what he's doing on that big giant bike.
You've probably seen a million fads come and go. I'm sure,
oh yeah,
haven't you?
yeah.
But you're right, dude.
It's to the point, though, now where it's like people still like all of them, and it's just more spread, and there's more rather than everybody chasing
they're
a
not
different
looking
one.
for the next new thing.
Right, it's just
People find something they like, and they
or they have a couple of each.
Yeah.
I mean, I know guys that they have the big wheel bagger, and they get a soft tail, like the long fendered white wall soft tail, and they got the performance soft tail,
The one, it's funny, the carbon wheel on that same bike you're talking about, that was freaking badass. You guys did, I think, digital gauges in that bike. Mm-hmm. I don't know, that freaking bike's badass. But when you said it was carbon wheels, it's on your little bike lift, and I was like, so I get down there and look, and I'm like, oh shit, that whole bike is, and you got the fender that kind of comes down and kind of chopped off. Mm-hmm. Unlike the Heritage you had over there, where you got that long swooping fender.
Yeah.
But and then I think those were that like that. Are they fishtail? Mm-hmm. Is that the exhaust on them?
Fishtail.
Dude, them are freaking sexy.
Yeah, see, that's kind of a more traditional, classic look. Long swoopy fenders, spoke wheels, white walls, but it's modernized a little with a bigger tall wheel and air ride. But they've been doing the 8 hangers and fishtails and white walls for probably decades now.
So the wheels, you see a lot of 23s up front. Is that kind of what they're going? Was that a 23-inch spoke on the one on the showroom floor?
Yes, and people do it. I don't know if it's like super popular. I mean, it is, but it takes a little more work. Like you can't just bolt it on. You
A
have
touch
to do
more
some
money.
modding. Yeah, a little more money. Yeah.
So if you guys don't know, I mean, if you ever get the chance to stop into Covington's, and I know this from experience because I haven't always known known Jerry and Kathleen and Dave and the group down there, but you won't find a nicer group of people that are more than willing to let you go in and check out anything they got. I think you guys just hosted a group of school kids.
Yeah.
And
yeah, we do that pretty regularly.
Dude, you couldn't have slapped a smile off those kids' faces, and I thought that was pretty cool because we were all. I remember being a kid here in Woodward and been pretty young, and nothing to do with necessarily school, but like I remember going to like Carl Scott's shop when I was real young, and seeing some cool shit that him and Dennis were doing, and I just baffled at that. It's kind of something that all it takes is one spark to get someone interested in something like that.
Well, some kids have no idea that that's something that they could make a living at or do until you show them.
Right.
And it's real cool being this part of the world too.
Yeah.
Out here in the middle of little old nowhere.
Yeah, because there's probably kids out there that ride motorcycles or like cars, but they don't really think about what they could do.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go in there, and it's regular for kids, for those type of classes to come in. And some of them you'd be surprised some of the questions some of them ask, and how smart some of them are already.
I'm sure. I mean, it like you said, like a spark or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that piques their interest, and
yeah.
And especially like I said, not like I said, but around here, it's cool that there's. I mean, it's just not different for around here, but it's
right.
To be as. Well, I'm not wanting to say world renowned, but as known as the place is around here, it's 12,000 people in this tiny little town.
Mm-hmm.
Unless oil field's gone, that's 14,000 or whatever, and for a young kid to see that, it's neat.
Yeah, and also they can come in and see it's not just putting some parts on a car or motorcycle. They get to see the parts actually being made by machines.
Yeah.
And being wrapped, and that they get shipped off to the world. And there's more to it than maybe what they're thinking.
Right.
What it can be.
But you guys have grown way bigger than you guys built the new shops. Shit. It's probably been 15, 20 years ago now. They're not even new now.
But yeah.
You can't even say new, but you guys built the machine shop, and you guys make so many of your own parts. It's insane. But going along the lines of talking about kids these days. I just sounded super freaking old. Kids these days, but what I'm saying when I'm like, kids do not realize that there's money to be made in this area, this craft. And you talked about machinists here. They're hard to find in Northwest Oklahoma. It's you guys make custom motorcycle parts. You guys build badass bikes. You guys do hot rods. You do all sorts of custom cars too. But our location's probably a little bit tough to find good help too.
Yeah, and it's hard to get people to move here and want to stay here and not go back home or something,
Right.
Because we've had people come here and eventually they want to go back home. Or
I mean,
you almost feel like you're training them to go off in the world, and they're not using you, but it kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, there's been plenty of people I've taught lots of things. They go. Only a few of them actually held on and went further with what they were doing. A lot of them just went back to whatever it was they done before that.
This ain't my thing. And
either that or didn't have the drive to take it any further, or maybe tried for a little bit. But
yeah, because I'm sure, because I'm not I'm not a terribly self-motivated person, but I'm sure the ingenuity it takes to come up with new things and everything. I mean, that's a lot of self-motivation. That's a lot of self-driven stuff. You're not only, I'm sure while you're at work and working on things, you can probably see things go on where you're like, oh, this is a new thought or that's a new thought. But I'm sure the old brain's churning a lot of times when you're just at the home kicking it, doing whatever, and you're thinking about the next new thing or how this would look, or even what I walked away from at the shop today that, oh shit, I could do this and that would look really.
Yeah, that usually happens while you're doing it.
Yeah.
You'd be building something, then you're almost done with it, thinking how you should have done it.
Yeah.
Next one.
You got the next go. Yeah, you got the next go around.
So, yeah, that happens a lot. But there has been, I know there's one guy named Derek. He worked for us for a while, straight out of Wyotech, I think is where he went, or one of the big trade schools. And he learned a little about a lot, but not a lot about a little, I guess you'd say. Kind of spread himself out. But he would work real hard, man. He'd come in, he worked till the time he showed up, till the time he left, and him and his wife eventually moved back home, and he started his own shop and does well.
Really cool.
So he's kept with it. And
right, that's awesome to see, though, too. Something that and plus, you come out of a trade school and you think you know something, right?
Well, I mean, I hate to say it, but even I think their instructors and stuff make them feel like they're just going to walk out and make all this money. When they're not, they know, like I said, a little bit about everything, but they can't take a project start to finish.
Yeah.
What I mean?
I mean, you guys, you look at specialties in your, in Covington's in itself, that you have your own roles. Pee Wee, he does all the engine and electrical stuff. You guys all kind of have your own forte. Mm-hmm. One of the things that baffles me, and I didn't talk to you about this on Friday, which is fine. We're talking to you now about it, which is better because I'm gonna put you on the spot. But the design part of things, you have a full-time job doing what you're doing, and part of that full-time job is the design. But we were looking at that brand new blue Road Glide, that 21 Road Glide you guys got in. I'm looking at that bike and just the color, not a color I would pick, but the color's fucking phenomenal. And you already spouted off a few things that you would just like to do to that bike, and and Jerry's got a few things he wants to do to that bike. But so the design, like, I don't know, it's one of those things. Like, do you part of the business that you're in is the design, the thought process. Mm-hmm. Are you just mentioned a little bit, are you doing that at work? You doing that at home? You thinking about it all the freaking time?
Oh, yeah, a lot of it's pretty natural, I guess. But some of it also, depending on which bike, is how much money they're going to spend.
Yeah.
That's a big part. And if they want to go as far as, like, if they straight up tell you that they want to roll into a bike show and win, then that's when you've got to start thinking a little harder, But, there's some people that kind of have an idea of what they want and things they like, and then you got to find a way for all their likes to go together. You know what I mean? Like, if they like more performance-y, if they like chrome, no chrome, if they like it to look more classic, or if they want it to look more industrial, you know what I mean? So you start using Cerakotes and showing more hardware rather than making it super smooth and hiding everything. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I thought it was super cool, all the clear covers that you guys have got going on right now, where you're actually seeing the clutch and mm-hmm. stuff like that. To me, I've always been a mechanical guy, so I love seeing that kind of stuff. Pretty neat to me.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that was a thing. But
we don't
it sounds really
personally
slick.
make those parts, but they are popular.
Yeah, I saw the brand on there. But no, and it's cool. I dig that.
It
look.
is cool.
So when it comes to, you said something that kind of sparked my interest with bikes. You said it. It kind of depends on what the customer wants. Are you guys? How common is it to build a bike that y'all want to build and then sell it? Or is it mostly customer-based, what they're coming in and wanting?
Yeah, I used to more often back in the day. Like, as far as, I haven't built anything real wild, like, that I've wanted to in forever. Most of the stuff we build, we keep it somewhat simple, so it's sellable. That sparks the interest of most people, most customers. You know what I mean?
Right. You
don't want to get too wild and too personable, because then it's harder to sell.
So, like, the story you told a minute ago about the first day at Sturgis,
mm-hmm.
that guy by, was that something that
it
popped up in your mind? You did it, and first day at Sturgis, man, this dude walks up and he wants it.
Yeah, I think, if I'm selling something, I want to make some money, I want to build something that 75% of people walk up going really like it.
Right, but that's got to be a cool feeling, though, I fucking made this thing, and like you said, first day of Sturgis of all places, and this dude just walks up and he's I want that, and it's just, that's got, not monetarily, but just for everything up in the noggin and knowing what you're doing and everything.
Yeah,
it's got to be such a cool.
I didn't even get to take it to lunch yet. We basically unloaded.
Yeah.
He came up. We weren't even open yet. We were still setting up.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's neat.
And the year before, same thing happened, except for it was after lunch.
So you did get to ride it a little bit?
The other one, yeah, I rode it to lunch.
So, dude, it was funny because used to see you, and I used to go into Long Shots quite a bit, a restaurant here in town. I used to talk to you and Daniel Struck a little bit, and had a good time talking to y'all. But one of the funniest things, and it's a common misconception on my part, or I would think people think this, but like, I think when you're going to Daytona, I think when you're going to Sturgis, I think you're just going to have the fucking time of your life, dude.
Well, you could.
But it's not that way.
No, we work, man. Like, you find your time to try to have a little fun, but
You got to make
it's
that
a little
time. Though.
it's a little different. Yeah, you. It's like it'd be like you working all day at work and then going doing something. You know. So, because we'll be there in the morning, working on people's bikes. I mean, I've done about anything and everything in the booth. There's times it's slow. Every once in a while, I'll take off, go to a bike show with some customers if we have enough people to cover. You know. But we'll do exhaust installs, put parts on. You know, I have customers from other states bring their bikes in because they want us to look at them. They don't want to take them nowhere else and have us go over them there.
So they'll even
check
almost
this,
like pre-schedule or whatever.
No, they just show up.
They just show up.
You check my bike over.
I mean, you take the cash or whatever, then you're like, you knew you wanted this.
As far as that stuff, we just do it. And then, like, there's some people, like, they have a problem with their amp. You know, which you had no idea or whatever. He wants you to check it all out, and it's fried, so you're overnighting an amp, and
so
next day switching amps out.
And of course, I'm completely dumb to this. So how many? I don't want to call you a vendor, but
Yeah, pretty much.
I know, but I mean, I don't want to sound that
Carney.
Yeah, a carny. How many carny booths are set up there beside y'all?
Oh.
I'll just call it a carny booth then.
We try to hit the most popular places, which is usually the closest ones to the Harley dealers. People go there; they're there to check stuff out. It's not just to drink beer and buy a T-shirt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's where you go to do, because there's places you can go cheap, but you know you're by the party crowd generally.
Right.
So,
All right. I guess
there's
how many other competitors, I guess I
probably,
should call them.
as far as competitors, man, there's not a lot of other people that build bikes showing up anymore. There used to
Really?
be tons, and hardly any more show up. They just go and do all the fun stuff, and then go to bike shows and put business cards on their seats, which is awesome. I'd love to do that, but we take care of our customers, and that's why our customers repeat buy. Like, I've got customers that buy a new bike every year, and if you weren't there set up, I don't know if it'd stay that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's why in 2020, I mean, you guys have had still a swamped year. You know, you talked to me about that Friday. Y'all had a busy 2020.
Yes.
In a pandemic, I mean, and still maintained. It's pretty badass, man.
Yeah, you know, it's a good thing. We like it.
I thought it was pretty cool though, because I just had this misconception in my mind that I talked to you and Struckle. It was before Daytona or before Sturgis or one of the other ones, but I talked to you guys. I'm like, God, that's just so fucking cool, you know. And Struckle's like, bro, I'm about to go work my fucking balls off. And you know, and I just like, what? So he's like, dude, this ain't no vacation.
Yeah, there's some people don't even like going with us.
Well, and it makes sense. But he said, man, and kind of like you said, Daniel said, look, he said, he said, you know, we'll work our butts off. He said, we're pretty much hooked up A to B. He said, in the evenings, you know, he said, we got our free time. But he said, you know, first thing in the morning, your ass better be there. That's what we're there for. And but it shocked me the amount of, you know, and you think about it, you know, you guys are selling, you know, primary covers, you're selling all kinds of stuff and bolt-on stuff, you know, whatever. But we're living in an age where someone wants it and they want it now.
Yeah.
And
that's what we figured out eventually.
Yeah,
you know,
well, that's the
before
market
we
you're
showed
in
things off and didn't take. And eventually we figured out why don't we take, you know,
So you can
swipe a credit card, install it right there.
yeah, I mean, you just got to staff up
Yeah,
to
see
be able to.
that little I mean, it looks little, the gooseneck trailer out there, when that thing's set up, it's huge. Like the awning goes out, I don't even know how far, I'll be honest, like 15 feet. And it goes past the trailer another 15 feet to the back. And it's just a shop with lifts. It's all our whole showroom, bikes all across it. I mean, it's a full-on business pretty much when it's set up.
Right, y'all are ready to roll. I mean, it's just a neat deal. I thought it was just so funny, man, because I thought you guys were just living the freaking life out there and on the, you know, on those big shows. And don't get me wrong, you know, Dusty was on a few weeks ago, your brother, and Dusty said the same thing. He's like, you know, he's been out of it a while, but he's like, man, he's like, you have to make time to do what you want to do. But, you know, he said, we still have a job to do, and that's what you're there for. So I thought that was kind of a neat deal, though.
Yeah, it is cool, and you know our customers are cool. They come hang out, you know, bring their bikes, and some of them you gotta look at, work on, whatever. Some you don't, but they're all cool. They're cool to hang out with. So when you do get out, you go maybe have dinner with them, go ride around a little bit. You know, if you have a place to park your bike.
Yeah.
Usually we rent a house and have a garage, so it works out. But you get caught out late, man. Some of them places get cold.
Oh, dude, I can imagine.
You know, and if in both them places, Daytona and Sturgis, I mean, it could rain anytime and then clear up.
How
so
many?
You gotta look at that too, because you'll be detailing a bike all morning. The next morning, you get caught in a rainstorm.
How many shows do y'all hit a year? You got Daytona and Sturgis?
Those two all the time, and we try to go to like Bikes, Booze, and Barbecue, and maybe one or two others, but it just depends. Like right now, I think that's it.
So that the Bikers, Blues, and Barbecue, that's in Arkansas, right?
Yeah.
That's grown into be quite the...
It's pretty big. It's not huge business-wise. It used to be. I mean, it's kind of like Woodward. I mean, you need the oil field to be doing well for bikes, but to be selling motorcycles. I mean, it's not bad, but, you know,
Right.
it's no Sturgis.
That's one of the cool things about y'all's business, too. You know, I realized located in Woodward, Oklahoma, Covington's would have never survived if you guys were strictly oil field based, you know, depending on...
if we were strictly working off Oklahoma customers,
Sure, right,
we'd
yeah.
be in trouble.
You guys, dude, y'all built one of my... I've always loved Sammy Hagar, man. Ever since I was a kid, I've loved Sammy Hagar. And I'll never forget, you know, you guys built the bike for Sammy Hagar. And it's so funny to see how bikes have changed since of what's cool and what's not, you know. But correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys took like a Cabo bottle. He has a Cabo
machine to look just like
yeah. He has the Cabo Wabo tequila, which I think he's sold out of that now, maybe.
Probably, but I don't know.
So you got like, it's just funny, man. You guys made the headlights kind of based off a Cabo Wabo bottle, and
it was just one risers. It came up off the front end, and the handlebars were on the lid pinched the handlebars.
Yeah, it was a cool bike, man.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
And the old Red Rocker himself, but I just thought like that was when you guys hit rock stardom to me, and before I knew any one of you guys. You guys were a few years older than me in school here in Woodward, but I just like, bro, Sammy Hagar bought a fucking custom bike. How to make a custom bike.
Which they had built. My dad had built him trucks and stuff, and Michael Anthony a truck back in the day.
Right.
Sold them hot rods.
Which is neat, you know. That
It just goes to show that they followed you from Cali out here.
Yeah, I think
they
they
thought
did
that
it
much
as
of the work that your dad had done to still keep in contact.
Yeah, because I think they did his bass, Mona, at the time, his bassist. Did her a pink Sportster too. It said Pink Voodoo on the side.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I just thought that was cool, and you guys have, I mean, you could name drop all day long, which I know you guys have done a lot of cool shit for a lot of cool people, but that was, for me, one of the coolest things ever. And we talked a little bit Friday in the shop about we went back to one of the back shops, and you had, man, 5 or 6 bikes that you guys had built over the years that a customer just like, hey, will you guys go over these? Just check them out. You know, old bikes. I'm talking,
Like
early 2000s?
04, 5, 6.
Yeah, that were still, you know, clean-ass bikes. And it was funny to look at the progression of the evolution of bikes and where they're headed. But, you know, people are still building these same style of bikes, kind of like you said.
People love those. They're just not spending the big money on them right now.
So
still love them though.
The evolution of the bagger. Talk about that, because it's became so popular. Like what happened?
Yeah, well, when
People
all
wanna
the
become old
choppers were
people?
huge, well,
I mean,
the baggers were there. Just nobody spent the money on the baggers. They had them to ride. Nobody even thought about. I mean, some people thought about it, but nobody put the time into them. They just rode those, and then they had their chopper. So the choppers were real popular for a long time. And then, you know, when it's a little bit of the crash, you know, when was it, like 08 or 9 or something?
Yeah.
When that happened, the choppers kind of went down. Plus, the market got saturated with builders, a lot of them not being good, which was giving all of them a bad name because there's people building junk and ripping people off, and then all the people fresh coming into it didn't know the difference from the people that's been around, and it happens to everything almost.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's pretty standard for probably any market.
Almost anything.
Yeah.
Anyway, they kind of was going downhill, and, that's what we were doing mostly. And we were also kind of messing around with doing wheels on bikes. Kind of like we were talking about people buying at the shows. Wheel companies always made bike wheels, but they didn't sell them at rallies. And neither did we. We would show them. People would ask about them. Like, no, we just take orders. Well, then it was like, well, why don't we take a few sets and see what happens? Well, they just sell. People buy them and want you to put them on. So we take more and more, and we got the semi. And then it was like, well, we started being smarter. We have these machines to build custom parts to these bikes, you know what I mean? So I was like, let's see what the most popular Harleys are, and we'll just make some parts for them. Since we have machines to do it. Well, obviously the touring bike is the most popular selling motorcycle pretty much. So we start making a few of the easy bolt-on parts, the derby cover, points cover, fork bells, little ignition switch cover, whatever. And then have the wheels, and then did the House of Baggers, where you could pull up, get wheels and all the things, and we do like 2 bikes with all our parts and a set of pipes on it, look cool sitting out there. You could pull up and get every one of them parts, put on your bike. Plus we would have choppers out there. So that's how it kind of got started for us. And then just so happens the baggers just kind of got more popular. Like people started putting 21s on them because they come with 16s. And they would fit with just slight modifications, made them look cool. And people started making longer bags. And back in the chopper days, we probably modded 4 or 5 ones pretty heavily. Pretty nice for guys that had choppers that wanted their baggers just as cool. But it was never something that you thought would take off. You just thought they were really cool, but it was another bike that you only did a few of.
Let me ask this. Are you being modest when you say we kind of started doing it and then it took off? Or do you feel like you guys had a part in doing it and it takes off? Toot your own horn if you want to. I'm honestly just asking.
I think it just kind of evolved. And then a few guys started making some body parts to make the bodies look different and whatnot. And that helped. When people can just buy stuff and put it on and change the looks, it gets more popular.
Yeah.
Where you don't have to take it and pay people to do it.
Okay.
So once everybody started getting into it, from not just, we were making, I'm sure it helped. We made billet pieces to bolt on and change the looks, but then you get the people that make fiberglass parts making bags, and you get the seat guys making cool seats, and before you know it, you can change the whole looks of this thing. And then it appeals more to younger guys too, because they can have a geezer glide and tear it down and make it a hot rod, but yet it still can ride it across country.
Yeah.
Still rides better. It's got saddlebags. It's got a stereo on it, but you can still make it fast. You can custom paint it, put some cool wheels on it, So it was
just real interchangeable.
It was only fitting for it to get popular. It's
kind of like we were talking
it
about.
was smart, everybody's like, it's a good idea.
Not a trend.
It's kind of like
just the evolution of it.
Yeah, it's kind of like going from driving hot rods, your choppers, to an Escalade customized.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It really is.
Yeah.
The cool thing about it, so we toured your machine shop, and I'm a machinist. I was a manual machinist running a manual lathe for 7 years, so I can appreciate making a part A to B and saying, man, I made that. That's American made. It doesn't get any cooler than that, right? I was making oil field parts. Nothing like CNC machining, not even remotely close, especially nothing like aluminum machining. Looking at the shit y'all make, and I understand the concept of CNCs and been around them a long time, but it's one of those things going through your shop and looking at, a lot of people can't imagine what CNC parts look like as it starts out as a chunk of aluminum, just some billet aluminum. you know, and looking at the parts half finished, right? You chuck on one side and you machine all you can. You flip it over, chuck on the other. Brian, you did this for years at Weatherford.
Didn't do it. I was around it. I did some other stuff. But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You understand the concept, and they have some badass CNC machines down there, and it's just neat to see, you know, how they start and what ends up
I used to
the
actually
finished
always
product.
get a chuckle out of y'all having chip bins behind the shop, because I'm out there at the machine shop where I work at and everything, you know, and it's just so funny because I can't remember if it's the same company or not, but we used Punk Iron or something like that we come and pick our stuff up. But just, you know, I was in a pretty good sized machine shop, and we would dump our chip tubs in these bigger chip tubs every day for them to come get. And just every time I'd drive down Texas there, you know, back behind the shop and see those chip tubs sitting back. I mean, I remember even one day and just seeing some kids looking at me like, what the hell? You know, it's all that, just thinking, man, it's like day to day for me to see that. It was just cool to see it there in the middle of town, because I knew y'all did some machining down there and everything, you know, but it was just it's just funny to me.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't know any of that goes on.
I mean, if I didn't work in the machine shop, I'd have never known that that's, you know, I'd have thought, hey, you're looking there and see a bunch of damn old spoke wheels or something laying in there or whatever. But
well, that's turned into be all out. I mean, it's so you go from in that shop, you go from the machine shop and you roll over to, you know, the area that you guys like package everything. And dude, I gotta say this, I was blown away at how nice, neat, and organized that, and not that I expected any different, but that the packaging area and just shipping, receiving, how nice, neat, clean, all the packaging, you know, it's just badass, dude. You guys have it's just neat to see how, I don't know, I guess there's really no other word to say it other than world class that is. It's fitting for what you guys do. It's a badass area, and you guys ship parts all over the world.
Yeah. I think you're trying to say to just see that, like we kind of talked about in little old Woodward, Oklahoma. And especially, I've not been in the shop or nothing like that. I mean, I've been kind of in the shop side of it, but not the showroom or nothing like that. But just hearing y'all talk about going to here and going to there and going to this and going to that, I don't feature enough square footage there to even see. I never dreamed about, shit, there's a packaging area there to package this stuff up.
Yeah, the building straight across from the body shop is separated to 4 sections.
Okay.
So the first section is just assembly, where once the bikes are all fabricated and sent to chrome and paint, they all end up in there to go together.
Okay.
Then right next to that is the Cnc Shop. Right next to that's where the raw billet and part shelves in both sides, and the wrapping and the shipping. And then there's one more shop for just mechanic work.
Because when you guys get talking about this, I've mentioned it on here before, I think, where I talk about South Park buildings. How if you're watching South Park, I don't know if you ever have or not, but they'll always show the outside of the bar or whatever, and it's a little bitty square or whatever, and you walk into it, and it's just like 15 stories and big. You know, that's what hearing y'all talk about being inside there, that's what it makes me think of, because it doesn't look like it should have that all in there like that. It's pretty neat.
Well, and they have a whole nother shop across the street.
Yes.
That's their hot rod shop, and you know, you roll over there, and they got rotisserie, and you know, they got things set up over their lifts, and it's just a neat setup, you know. But you guys, you know, right now you're so busy with the bike stuff that, I mean, do you guys have time to do much of that?
We don't advertise cars. He has people that wants them, and we probably could get more, but we try not to have more than 1 or 2 because it just takes us too long. I mean, well, cars take longer anyway.
Well, for sure.
And when you don't have enough people to dedicate just to it, you don't want to have people's cars sitting there for 5 years, you know what I mean? Yeah. So we try to only do a few. Like we got one at paint, and then we got one in fab, and a couple personal ones on the back burner. I mean, we try not to overdo that. It would be cool if we get a few more hands. We could easily get more car work.
Can I ask how many people y'all employ? I mean, roughly.
Let me think for 1 second. I would say 10.
10. There's a lot of shit going on down there for 10 people.
I mean, you got
absolutely.
a couple guys in the machine shop, 3 in the body shop, a few up front. I mean, that's counting owners and stuff.
Yeah, I figured you could count in everybody.
It's just a cool deal to see what y'all put out, but man, you guys have put out a couple F1s over the last few years that are just phenomenal. But Rod Simmons, his F1, such a cool truck, man.
Yeah,
and
it came out real nice.
And we can just sit here and boast this truck. It's all talk, right? But you catch Rod Simmons out, and you go look at that truck, and you're gonna be absolutely impressed. And you said that Rod built some of that shit himself, and obviously he's a very talented CNC machinist, and he's one of those guys. There's really nothing that he can't do, and it was cool to see him. He's another business owner in Woodward, and it was cool to see him throw that at y'all and work with you guys. And the end product. I've known Rod since high school, and to see the progression of that truck was pretty insane.
Mm-hmm. Well, he wanted it. He wanted it nice. Like, he wanted to get it done. He wanted it to be nice, above average nice. So we were glad we could help him do it. But it was really cool that he could make some of those parts himself. I thought that was awesome. What I mean? So he made his own taillights. He made the steering wheel. I mean, he even made a whole bunch of little, you should say, kind of custom washers where the bolt head sunk down in them. I mean, it's a lot of little things he was able to make that set his above average, here and there, clean it up.
Yeah, as soon as that truck was done. And I've never been a Ford fan, never will be a Ford fan. I would own that Ford all day long. I'll never have nothing that nice anyway. But just, you see a lot of people, like, I'll bust his balls, like, dude, why didn't you LS swap that? That's like a kick in the sack.
Well, that was something different doing the Coyote. I mean, none of us have ever done that.
That's a bad motherfucker too, dude.
It came out real nice.
Like, it did.
It was. There was a few things I think that was a little challenging, but overall, I mean, it came out nice.
Well, and you guys built the Miller Brothers.
Yeah.
You built the one for them. That truck turned out just
it was a clean little
too.
truck. Yeah.
I think they went back with the original flat.
Yeah, they had started that project themselves. They started the chassis. They had the factory engine restored, and had just brought the body panels over to our body shop to paint. And then after a while, they decided they just wanted to have us finish it. So that's how that one kind of went. And then we ended up changing a few things here and there, because we didn't take it apart, so we had to figure out as we went what was going to stay, what wasn't.
Yeah,
but it came out really nice.
Man, I probably fucked you guys over a little bit on that because I helped take that truck apart. And
did you?
Yeah, and like
we did have to find a few
06,
pieces.
07. Yeah, my bad, man. But no, and that thing turned out super cool. The color of it was awesome. Just another.
Yeah, I actually did a lot of the assembly on that one.
It's just something that we would.
Those are very simple little trucks. They're kind of fun. Actually, mess with.
Are they as simple as you're saying?
No, really. I mean, if you're going back stock, I mean, do your drivetrain, whatever. But as far as the bodies, and if you go kind of factory on the interior, they're fairly simple. Mold F1s.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
when you start putting obviously, new engines in them and electric windows and air conditioning and all that, you're kind of complicating things a little bit. But
when you're stepping them into the 2000s, I guess.
Yeah, if it's just a manual with engine with the bench seat, it's not too hard.
Right. So, Dave, I want to talk about something that the bike building thing. You guys were in it long before it was mainstream, I guess I should say, or on TV. Orange County Choppers, I remember everybody having an OCC hat or a beanie or something of sorts. But those dudes kind of hit it big, which is great, man. I think it's good for the business, but it's also a little bit. I think it kind of makes things a little bit fake. To some degree.
It kind of pigeonholes it.
Yeah,
as
I'm not.
You think this just is what it is.
I'm not knocking those guys. I'm a big fan of people's success. I'll even roll into the Street Outlaws. You know, a lot of that stuff was put on, but I'm a big fan of seeing people make it and make money and whatever. You know, I'm a big fan of that. I want to support people.
Well, you know, OCC maybe not the best bike builder when they come out or whatever, but brought attention to bike building.
It for sure did. You know,
same with Street Outlaws. I mean,
yeah, look what it's done.
It may not all be real or whatever, but it's still cool. It's cars, and it's good for sponsors, good for businesses. And
different, but I'll even say it on this end, they had that show there for a while, Black Gold, where they were following around the Roughnecks.
That was great, dude. I liked it.
Yeah, but, and I'm not going to speak for you or anything, but I would sit there and watch that after I'd roughneckeded for a couple of years. It'd be like, the Worm Man didn't show up today. This is going to cost the crew cost the rig company $25,000 in downtime. Whereas, like Truth, it might have slowed up 2 or 3 connections by a minute or two and cost them like $25 because it took that much longer to get back down the hole and drill. Right. And I'm not saying that. That's just what I always equated it to. They got to dramatize it a little bit. Yes, exactly.
The coolest part, though, I got to say this about what happened after Street Outlaws was I went to Noble to the drag strip for years now. And I've been there when it was 50 people in the stands, you know. Mm-hmm. And after Street Outlaws,
packed.
Yeah, and you know it's good for the track. It's good for merch,
community.
Yeah,
it is, man, and it.
Sometimes, I mean, that is good for the drag strip.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I guess in drag racing it's different. That's what you need. You need spectators, I guess, in drag racing. Like for us, when Orange County Choppers would show up in a lot or something, if we were in, it'd bring in all the people that have nothing to do with motorcycles.
Yeah.
So you got cars
just fans
jamming up every parking lot and people that watch TV coming in there for an autograph.
Yeah. Solely for that purpose.
Hat, and yeah, they're in your way.
Right.
More or less. But still, you know, it still brought attention. And
yeah. Let me ask you this.
I guess.
And you don't have to answer this if you want to or whatever, but if you have your hardcore people, though, would they just walk right by that and come up to y'all because they want to come to y'all to have whatever done instead of the...
Well, the hardcore people probably weren't looking into OCC bikes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying...
I mean, that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying one's better. I'm not trying to draw a line there or nothing, but...
That particular instance, I'm not sure helped us, but all of the TV show did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like theirs and other ones... For people getting into motorcycles, I guess. And I think it also, you know, it sparked younger kids to look into that's something they can do. Because I don't know how many people I've seen online talk about they've seen this show or that show, you know, OCC something, and made them want to build motorcycles. Right. So, I mean, if anything, it's good for that type thing.
Yeah, you know, not everything's made for TV. Some people aren't made for TV. Some businesses aren't made for TV. You know, going to, you know, anywhere from, you know, the tattooing reality TV to, you know, to build-offs and stuff. But I do want to talk about, you guys did the Discovery Channel Biker Build-Off, which was huge for, you guys had a massive outpouring of, you know, respect and support from Oklahoma for sure, but a lot of people that you guys have done work for a lot of years already knew what you guys were capable of. But this was 2004-ish, 5?
4 or 5, or both.
Yeah,
it's filmed one year and then on TV the next.
If you don't mind, man, take a few minutes to talk about the Discovery build and kind of how that came to be.
Well, the motorcycles at that time were kind of hitting it on TV, kind of like car shows are now.
Yeah.
Motorcycles were then. And then the biker build-off come along. And it did good. The first season did well, so they started doing a second season, and finally we were picked. There's a few different people that kind of helped choose, like that they would talk to, and we were pretty known. So one of the, I think it was Easy Riders, editors had mentioned us to the producer or something. I don't know. But they picked us, and we were like, yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Sure, no problem.
So it's not something y'all sought out, though.
No,
and if it is, that's
well,
fine
I mean,
too. But you weren't going to turn it down,
right,
of course.
you can tell anybody you want to do it, but ultimately someone's got to choose you.
Yeah, it really doesn't mean much to say.
Right.
There's a lot of people that wanted to do it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's easier if you're in a big city or you're kind of a wild person, big personality, that helps you. You know, or you can tell usually when it's kind of like OCC. They were picked a lot because they went in and the junior was wearing like a Spider-Man outfit, riding around a Spider-Man biker, and so they're like, "Ooh, what's this?" You know, which you'll never catch me doing something like that.
Man, I can see you wearing a Spider-Man outfit.
Jack Black out there jumping around a motorcycle.
See Jerry wearing a Batman outfit or something. You're right though. I mean that's what I was getting at. Y'all are man, you're humble people. It's funny because you're in Northwest Oklahoma, dude. You're in a small town. You're not, you guys are. I mean, you're where you want to be, but it's one of those things that you're not loud. You know.
Yeah.
You're letting your product speak. But I'm sorry,
true.
man. Go ahead.
Anyways, we decided to do it. You know, everybody was building a chopper, and some of the guys producing the show had mentioned to my dad, like, everyone's doing big choppers, maybe someone needs to do something different. And we had kind of already been working on this chassis that I had there, actually at the show, that was super low. You know, did a whole different gas tank concept, just in raw metal sitting there. It's like, oh, let's do this. We all kind of agreed to try something different. Do that, and they showed up, and when they did ours, we were one of the first ones. I think they filmed. They said, okay, it's 1 week. The other ones they spread like 7 days through a month, would go back and forth. So those guys had like a week in between the filming to dial things in. They came to us, and they're like, we're going to do it 1 week, and when we leave, you need to write it before we leave. It's like, all right. So we got as prepared as we possibly could. Had every part there. We started machining and designing wheels. I designed wheels, primary, all kinds of stuff for that bike. It's custom, all one of a kind. And not only we do that, we did 2 bikes. Because we were going to build one while they were there, but we had some parts we already started on, so just in case type deal. So we was like, we'll do 2 bikes and have 2 new bikes. But we went up against another place called Scooter Shooters, a bunch of good guys. Not real popular at the time. I mean, in the shows, yes. TV and stuff, no, kind of like us. So we went up against them. It was a good time, man. They came, filmed, and really, we weren't really stressing. We were prepared. We had a good crew. And they were actually, I think, disappointed because we weren't screwing up a lot. You know what I mean?
Didn't make for some good TV drama.
Yeah, I mean, they're just waiting for you to screw up, and it's just like after, I think, a day and a half, 2 days, we had the bike almost fabricated, ready to go to the body shop. And they were like, nah, you guys need to just go ahead and go home for the night. You're getting too far.
And they're like, and the guys got tired, and they went home.
Yeah, I think the only time we had a problem was 9 o'clock at night, because we just worked, the whole time, just about. I mean, the guys in the body shop, once they got their stuff, I think they slept maybe in their cars a little bit, or it was go home.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah, like when the guy that did the graphics, he came from Amarillo because they were going to film him painting it. He slept in his Ford wagon. He's like 57 Ford wagon or something. Drove up, he slept in it for a few hours.
Wow.
In our shop. But we buffed through a part. It was too thin where it was machined. We did some custom triple trees we made. And when the chromer buffed them, they were too thin. We just went too deep. And once he buffed and went through, there's a hole in the top of it. So we had to make a new one. And then one of the guys hopped in it and met the polisher like in Watonga or something, because the chromer's in the city. And by the next evening, we had one coming back. And they missed all of it.
They missed that
They
little
were
bit of
asleep in the
drama.
hotel room. Yeah. And we already had it under control by the time they knew anything.
Drama in the bike shop.
So-
The polisher. That's
So, if I can ask, and I mean, I'm sure it's, you don't mind talking about it or whatever, how much did they try to manufacture drama for y'all? Or did they just let y'all roll and it was what it was?
Well,
I mean, that's like an honest question I've always wondered.
Me personally, I didn't have much. I was a hand in the whole thing. I mean, it was mostly my dad, I guess you would say,
Sure,
as far as the star.
Yeah,
or
but
whatever.
I mean, I'm
But
talking about the building and
they were just there filming. They would kind of. I think one time Bubba was there. You all know Bubba.
oh fuck.
He made this one part, and for some reason, like the coil was hitting on something. So I don't know if you ever watched the episode, but they're like, Bubba did something that's going to cause him some time, and he's going to have to fix it. Well, all he had to do was make this little piece that moved it over a little bit, and he probably did it in 30 minutes, I'm going to guess. But they filmed it.
yeah.
But what's funny is the editors, they don't know nothing about motorcycles. We put nitrous on that bike. Like, had full nitrous system solenoids. I did a purge line out the front to blow nitrous out the front. And all this stuff didn't show one little second of nitrous installed.
Yeah, I didn't know that. This is news to me.
But yet, they showed the green headlight bulb we put in and edited in where my dad said, if it ain't green, it ain't mean. But no nitrous, man. Spent hours on this nitrous system.
But that's not even important.
Hours.
And that's badass too, man.
Yeah, it had a
But-
valve sticking out the side, and I mean,
It's cool though, because it's like, and Bubba fucked up.
yeah.
So,
It's funny.
do you
No,
know?
it's a cool insight.
Because we
to
have
it for me.
no idea what they're film. We have no idea what they make us look like a bunch of idiots if they want to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it probably actually adds a little pucker factor that you're not really used to having.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're sitting there, never been on TV, just
Yeah,
like
sure.
hoping you don't look like an idiot. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But-
I mean, and even if, I mean, we're 15 years out from that now. We've learned more about what reality TV is. But even in nowadays, when you know for sure that's what they look for is that fuck up moment.
Yeah.
And it's so much easier to fuck up when you know people are waiting on you to fuck up.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure it was, I mean, I'm not going to say, it might have been stressful, I can't speak for it, but I mean, like I said, there's that pucker factor.
Yeah. I think
just,
over the years, we've always been pushed, like all the time. Like you were asking about the getting ready for shows and all the bikes. That's normal for me, man. To have like 6 bikes tore apart 3 weeks before we leave. Like anymore, like used to, I'd be up till 3 a.m, ride it up and down Oklahoma Avenue and stick it in the trailer, and we leave 8 the next morning. I've just gotten to where I've done it so much that I don't have to do that no more. You know?
Yeah, you've got it down to an art. I mean, you know what it takes.
to me, that's neat, though.
No panic.
that's truthful in what you said, because sometimes and I know you're not talking about that show, but just on an everyday instance, because sometimes that is the built-in drama, but yet that is what you guys do. It's you kind of are always, you could go the easy route and say, okay, we could get 5 done and be done 2 days before we load out, but we can get 6 done and be done
Well, usually
3 or 4 hours.
What happens usually is you have a decent amount of work, and then somebody else needs just this little bit of something that ends up a whole lot of something. And another person that's a good customer, can you do this too?
Oh, okay, I see. It's
well, of course I can.
Yeah, you've actually got to put off that and take care of what butters your bread.
Yeah, then you just hope nothing goes bad.
Okay, I got you. That makes
hope
sense
there's
too.
no problem. And then when there is, and it's like, well, I guess we might have to work late.
So, Dave, do you know where's that bike now? Do you know?
Actually, it just came to the shop last year. It got passed around, I guess, at one point somewhere down the road. Somebody lost a lot of assets, and it had been taken. And it had been auctioned around, hauled, beat up a little bit. And this guy bought it on eBay.
Wow.
And he has a few bikes that are popular. It's been on TV and stuff, I think. And he sent it to us because he wanted us to fix it back up. It needed paint repairs, polished up, had some chrome peeling here and there. It's basically just it'd been handed around by people that didn't know how to handle a bike like that.
It'd been hauled around more than been ridden.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking like repo people taking stuff.
Yeah, they're just
like, who knows? Just throw a strap over it next to the old turd or whatever, treating it like an old motorcycle.
Right.
Yeah.
But we fixed it all up, and actually there was a show in Sturgis, and with the COVID, we were supposed to build a fresh new bike, something cool and new. But with COVID, he didn't want people not to be there and see all these new bikes, so he told everybody, why don't you bring an older build, something that's popular, that meant something to you, to put on display, and then next year we'll do your new builds. So we had just finished that, and we told the guy, hey man, if you want this to go to this, and this guy's popular, it's Michael Lichter. He shoots for magazines and Easy Riders forever, and he's actually pretty famous in the photography motorcycle world. He puts on the show, so this guy's turned on. Now his bike's going to be in this, and they pick it up, take it, put it on display during Sturgis at the Buffalo
so it's like
Chip.
Perfect storm.
With a whole bunch of other popular motorcycles built by all the other custom bike builders in the industry. So he's pretty turned on after that.
Yeah.
That's where it's at now, and he got it for a really good deal. It needed a little work, but we made it. He came down here, rode it. I don't know how long, all around Woodward and the surrounding places to make sure it was all good. And
is it still the same paint scheme?
it's exactly the same.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, it had different mirrors, and I bought some more of the old mirrors put back on it because they were goofy, like eBay mirrors someone put on it.
How cool did it feel to see that thing come back in the shop?
It's always neat, man. I've got, like, he came in and saw, I've got 3 in there from another guy, one of them being mine that I built in 05 that was real popular. And people still come up to me at shows because I named it Lucifer.
Okay.
And the reason is because you give a bike a cool name, they remember it.
Sure.
And
yeah.
they do. They show up. I remember Lucifer.
It's kind of like
back
Brian.
in the day,
It's just a real cool name. People remember Brian.
No one's.
So why are you sitting over there with the dumb look on your face?
Dude, Brian's the dumbest fucking name besides
Anyway,
Philip.
carry on, brother. We don't need to hear from Dick right now.
But it is cool for him to show up. I mean, like the Discovery bike, it was fun, the filming. And what was really cool about the filming, getting back on that since we strayed a little, when we rode, afterward you ride. Well, when we rode up there, everywhere we stopped, they would get on the radio and say the biker build-off's ending here or whatever. And we had the truck and the big trailer behind us. And when we would pull up at the end of the days, there'd be huge crowds. All the people that watch these shows showing up. And they'd have to actually part for you to ride in. And there's all our crew and all their crew showed up. There was probably 15 bikes from each crew coming in there, plus our trucks. So it was almost like a bike show at the end of every day. It was like 3 days of riding. It was pretty fun. They vote. At the very end you go and they vote, see who wins. But after that, but during those, people buy T-shirts, you're signing stuff. And even Bubby's out there autographing. It's pretty cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
They
awesome.
don't know if you're going to be famous or what at the time. They just know you're filming for Biker Build-Off.
I thought it was cool, though, and Bubba talked about this to me, which I've been friends with Bubba since we were in high school. And Bubba talked to me about, he's like, dude, just the amount of merch that was sold. He's like, it couldn't keep it.
Yeah.
And I thought that was super cool, man. I thought that was one of the biggest things that, that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
You're in.
People want your stuff. They don't,
Yeah,
they don't even know who you are.
Dude,
really, honestly.
you're in North
You ain't been
Carolina,
on TV
whatever.
yet,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're wherever, and someone's wearing a Covington shirt. I just think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And you're not, and like I kind of mentioned a while ago, like y'all have to be driven to do what you do because it takes imagination. It takes the late nights. And I mean, I work my 7 to 5:30, 4 days a week, and I'm done. at my job and I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's impressive what y'all do and everything, and it's not like you need your ego stroked because you're doing something you really enjoy.
Yeah.
But then I'm sure though when that happens like that, that's got to be like that's not what you're shooting for, but when it happens, it's got to kind of just be like the coolest damn feeling that these people want this shirt for this place I work, and then they want me to put a Sharpie to it.
Yeah.
And put my name on it and everything like that.
Yeah, I still get randomly guys get bikes and want to sign the inside of the bag lids or something.
Yeah.
But it is cool. That's the best part probably about going to Daytona and Sturgis. I mean, you got to work and it's kind of tough sometimes, but it is cool because you're taking all your latest stuff to customers. But not only that, people come up and look and you get feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to hear, no, that's bad. I want one of these. And
it's like an added, not monetary bonus, but it's just a bonus.
It helps you
to see somebody appreciate what you have put your hands on and done. And I mean, like shit, I couldn't imagine up nothing in my mind tonight if I went home and tried to, and you've done it a million times over. You know, that's just to me would be like just one of the coolest things about it.
It is nice to get feedback. You know what I mean? You come see it, but when you go there, you get people that ride motorcycles from all over the world come there and will tell you what they think, more or less.
Right, and so, you're talking about people that are true lovers and genuine. They ride. They got the money. They're going to spend big money on bikes and
that and other builders and stuff too.
And that's so to me the other builders is probably higher praise than anything to some degree because it still takes. So let's say a person has $70,000 to build a bike.
Uh-huh.
Dude, you can pick anybody. Okay, to some degree, you can pick anybody.
Yeah.
You're looking at past builds. You're looking at the quality of workmanship. And, dude, someone took X amount of dollars and said, hey, Dave Covington, I'm trusting this to you. I want this bike. Dude, that's a lot of fucking money.
Mm-hmm.
And, and in the grand scheme of things, they're getting a lot for that money. Because the bikes themselves are not cheap, brand new. Custom builds especially. I mean, that's actually off the charts. But
I loved it when you said one of a kind a minute ago because that's what's neat about it is one of a kind.
Yeah.
So I got to ask you, man. We're about to wrap this dude up, but I have to ask you. You've been at this. What I would say most of your life. It's kind of what you grew up around, what you're used to. But what is your favorite? It's a two-part. What's your favorite bike build that has came from your shop?
I would say Lucifer 2. I won world championship, first place American, fourth in the world. I won that with Lucifer 2 in 2006. I still love the bike. I'd love to have it back one day, maybe. I'll find it and get it back. At last I know it was in Moscow. But that bike was probably my favorite overall. I got to do whatever I wanted. I just built a crazy, super bad, one of a kind. Everything's handmade, everything machined in our shop. I had the engine built by a professional engine builder, but made a bunch of cool one-off parts and the best of everything. It was just a cool bike. It actually started setting kind of some trends, I think. And then also there was another bike I really liked. It was a trike.
I love it.
It was similar to the Lucifer, that independent rear, but it had cheater slicks with big white walls and a old pan head and jockey shift foot clutch. It was just fun. So I'd get that one back just to rip around because it was fun to ride.
I mean, so you said that bike ended up in Moscow last you knew.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of goes, back to what I was saying as world renowned. It's easy to say, and it's not saying, hey, it's not tooting your horn. It is, but it isn't. But it's one of those things that you guys have stepped into a whole new realm, in the parts process too, of making. Hey man, if you like this, that we can make these, we can ship these to you. it's become a bigger business than just custom one-off builds too, which I think is great, But that's the cool thing about it is, dude, all right, so the bike goes to Moscow, let's say. You got, you got some dude with some German name. He's got your bike. His buddy comes over. He's like, damn, that's a badass bike. That came from the United States of America. Where the fuck did it come from? Woodward, Oklahoma. Where the fuck's that? Let's Google that shit, There's nothing else there.
Well, I heard that it was that it actually went to a museum of some sort. I don't know if it's still there or not.
Right.
I had somebody contact asking a few questions about it, so I'm wondering if someone else got it and is attempting to get it ready to ride.
Right.
So once these dudes are out the door, they're pretty hard to keep track of then, huh?
Some like the ones that are at the shop. This
if
guy
they live in Moscow, I'm sure they're hard to keep track of.
That one, when it sold, we had a guy that imported things to Russia.
Mm-hmm.
He would buy some cool bikes or whatever from big names, send them there, or have people wanting them. Basically, he's kind of a scout, more or less.
Yeah.
We have that every once in a while. Send some to Australia or have one guy all the time.
Didn't the vet go to Australia?
No, that would have been not South Africa, Norway.
Okay. See, and you keep mentioning all these
apologize,
cold
man.
ass places. Like I don't.
Yeah, no, this was a Corvette convertible with air conditioning. Went to Norway.
Well, I'm just picturing somebody riding a bike in fucking Russia.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's not all Siberia, but that it goes to a museum makes a lot of sense too. If that were the case, but it's still nuts either way. It's cool.
Lately, it's been Dubai and Bahrain.
Oh yeah.
So
you kind of
get some up.
You get some of that oil money, even though it ain't Northwest Oklahoma oil money.
I guess so. Yeah.
It's cool though.
Dave, another question too is what's one of the coolest? What's one of your favorite car builds that have come through your shop?
Oh man, there haven't been a ton of them. I mean, Rod's is pretty nice. It really is. I mean, overall, this was a pretty nice one. I mean, the ones before, some Corvettes, and they were cool. I'm not a huge Corvette guy, man. I mean, they were nice. Don't get me wrong, all said and done, but I'd probably take Rod's truck over them.
Yeah. I can't argue with that. And I looked at that. I saw that Corvette, which I've looked at a lot of stuff that's came out of y'all's shop over the years just because that's kind of I love that stuff. But, if anybody sees Rod's, what color orange is that? Do you know?
Tangelo Pearl, man. It's a classic color.
That is. Dude, Dusty and I talked about Tangelo Pearl. Because
that's a color that will never, ever go away.
It won't. It's such a beautiful color. But if you guys ever see Rod Simmons around, he's got the only Tangelo Pearl F1 running around Woodward, Oklahoma. Not many of them. But I promise you this. If you walk up to that dude and ask him to look at his truck, he will be more than willing to show you everything about it. That is one of the best dudes I know. It's just a neat build. But Dave, I gotta say, man, thanks for coming on.
Right.
I know it's one of those things that I talked to you about a few months back, and I gotta tell you, dude, you have no idea how much you made my fucking day, because you text me out of the blue probably a month ago, and you said, hey, man, I'm not gonna lie, when I first texted you, I said, hey, Dave, would you consider coming on my podcast? And you're like, what is it? And I told you, and you're like, well, what's it about? And I was like, man, it's kind of a bunch of fucking nonsense.
Well, I knew you had the podcast, but I didn't really listen to them.
Right.
Or you didn't have very many at the time.
But it was one of those things that
So I didn't know what the content even was.
I didn't.
We never did either. Did we just walk in here and never knew what the content was either?
I didn't take it as an insult at all by any means, because, dude, I'm 2 years, year and a half, 2 years deep into this, and
You're damn near too.
And loved every minute of it, man. But the content's gotten way better. But one of the coolest things, man, and you made my day, and you have no idea, and I'm gonna tell you now because I haven't told you before. But you texted me probably a month ago, and you said, "Hey, man, the gist of it was, hey, I've been listening to some of your podcasts, really excited to come on." And dude, you couldn't have slapped that fucking smile off my face that day, because I I was excited because I didn't know. It's one of those things that I didn't know if it. I'm just going to bring you in here and I'm going to try, to see what we can talk about. But I was so fucking pumped, man, when you said that, and I've had a couple studio changes trying to get some shit lined out, so we're good now, man. But seriously, appreciate you coming on, dude. It means a lot.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's good stories.
All right, guys, let's wrap this up. I do want to say big shout out to Gatrell Dirt and Demolition, Jody Gatrell sponsoring the podcast. Really appreciative of that. So if you have any dirt work, anything you need like that, you need some shit torn down, some shit tore up, some rock in your yard, some rock in your mom's yard, call Jody, 580-571-1851. And, many props to Jody Gatrell, Gatrell Dirt and Demo.